Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for joining us today. I am Yannick Westers. I'm a climate resilient expert at EcoRes, which is a consultancy based in Brussels on climate problems. And I'm here with Fred.
Hello, I'm Fred Gilson from Inoya. So we are Odoo expert and implementing Odoo on complex projects, and we try to address sustainability issues.
So we are here today talking about our mission, which is trying to help companies integrate carbon monitoring in their operational management, so that basically carbon accounting or carbon footprint is not just one report one time of a year, but it's something continuous in your activity that you take into account when you live your company.
Okay, and to discuss today, so we'll have a use case in construction industry. From something real that we implemented with Odoo construction, because it's polluting. There are numerous sources of pollution, and this is a sector where that kind of tool is definitely relevant. To do the demo, we'll be using a community app called MyCompanyCO2, which is like the grand brother of Odoo ESG that you might discover today. So let's start with what we want at the end. We are in the construction industry. So to drive the business and decarbonize the activity, the decision makers need a very good picture of where the company stands in terms of CO2 in the projects. So here I'm using Odoo, and I have I compute the real-time emissions of my construction projects, and I can compare them to targets to make sure that I can fulfill them. So this is what we want at the end. We want it real-time.
So you have here 4 different construction projects, and then you can see that the CO2 is split between different phases of the project, and you can also see against the target if you're reaching that or not. And so basically what we see there is so the CO2 result, and we need to come back a bit under that to see how do we compute that. And basically in carbon footprint, to get this calculation of carbon, what you need is to make a CO2 estimates based on data and emission factors. That's the basic behind it. And
yes, and so that's carbon footprint. What about carbon accounting?
So you've heard about carbon accounting. Basically, for carbon accounting, the data that we're using in this equation is financial data from your accounting. So this is really where it starts, and it's just using all the financing data from your accounting to associate emission factors and then to compute your CO2 estimates. That's a bit cheap and dirty method. It's what we call the spend-based methodology. It's a good start. If you have never done any carbon footprint, it's better than nothing, because it gives you a rough estimates or where to act first, what is more important, your construction materials or your tools. But actually, if you want a better carbon footprint, you need to use activity data and product-specific data. But this is usually very time-consuming for collecting the data, and can be error-prone when you do that with external platforms or Excel forms or whatever. But the advantage of that is that in the end it gives you also a meaningful evolution of your carbon footprint over the years, because when you're using just the cheap and dirty method, basically, if you want to reduce your carbon footprint, you need to reduce your spendings, and that's not something that you always want to do. With a better method, it actually allows you to track your action. If you choose one product over another, even if it's more expensive but it has a better CO2 footprint, then you can actually see it. And so that's something that we want to go for. But basically, what I observe as a carbon consultant is that a lot of the ESG manager in companies, depending on their size, they will spend a lot of time, nearly half of the year, collecting all this data, trying to get this report done and having this nice sustainability report done in March or April. But actually, spending half of your time doing that is a waste of time, because you should be using your time to try to reduce, to do actions of sustainability and to meet your commitment targets. So you need to implement action, steer action, and you need to reduce the risk of your CO2 strategy by taking decisions. And so, yeah.
What's the solution then?
Exactly. So what we can do for that? What we propose here is to integrate this CO2 calculation in the ERP, so that you have a continuous tracking of CO2, and that you save a lot of time for doing that. So, yeah, can you show us
Yes.
how to do that in
let's go.
in concrete?
So how to get that in the end? So first we look at the accounting. Here I have the profit and I have all my expenses. Sorry, and looking at all those expenses based on the amounts, I can link them to specific generic emission factors. They will be cheap and dirty, but it's a start. I see subcontracting here. So going to the chart of account configuration, I will apply a dedicated emission factor. And I will do it.
There is a specific tab that...
Yes, so
yeah.
here there is a specific tab dedicated to sustainability, and I will browse it for my main expenses. Here for subcontracting, for services, here materials. I'm using standard emission factors that are available by default in the system. It's connected to several databases like IPCC, ADEME in France, Exiobase, etc. Yeah, the list is quite impressive, but at the moment I can do it myself. I don't need the help of Yannick yet. So I try to do it. Once this is done, I can have a look at my carbon footprint to have a rough estimate, and this is what I get. So if I compute it, okay, I already have something. It's stacked in one column with all the monetary ratios, but I already have a detail in terms of types. Here are my materials, my subcontracting, my equipments, etc.
So
I can even drill down to have a detail.
So as we said, this is a start, so that you can already see, well, okay, the materials is actually the big topic, but it would be better to have better refine that a bit, so that we can actually have details on where to work. And to do that, what we do is we try to increase the quality of the data we're using. So we move from what I call the low estimates, which are just this generic account number, into more higher quality data. And the first step to do that is actually switching from financial data with generic emission factor to specific emission factor. Can you show us how to do that and what it is, what it means?
Yeah, so we can keep the subcontracting. It's a very good example. So yeah, getting back to my expenses, if I drill down with the vendors, for instance, I have two vendors, Constant and Gemini. Yeah, the biggest one is Constant. So I can drill down, take one of the bills, and introduce a specific emission factors for this vendor. How can I get that? Well,
so basically, if your vendor is already doing his own carbon footprint, or he has a sustainability report, then you can actually look into this report and you can get his CO2 numbers, compare them to his profits, his revenue, sorry.
Revenue, yes.
And so based on this revenue and CO2 emissions, you can have this CO2 per revenue ratio that you can use. That means that these are specific emissions linked to this vendor. And so we can put this value, and you can see here for carbon for constant work, it's 0.35 kilo of CO2 per euro that you spend, because you contribute to their revenue, and this means that you contribute to their emissions too.
Okay, and here I can introduce a lower uncertainty. with monetary ratios, we are around 80. And here, based on those data, I can split in two to 40. So the improvement is significant already. All right, so I apply it. I do it for my bigger, my biggest vendors, and then I let the system do and recompute the carbon footprint. So here, simply looking at all my journal entries in the system, I'll recompute, and then the carbon footprint is automatically up to date. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so now I do have a better split in my service item just by introducing those new, more accurate values. Still monetary, but better.
Still monetary. So the next step to improve that, when you can switch from financial data with specific emission factor to physical data. And actually that's way better, because it means that you can link these emission factors not by euro you spend, but by tons of materials, for example, or kilometers that you would spend. And so how can we do that in Odoo then?
And you will see that Odoo is great to handle that, because we benefit from all the other features of Odoo: purchases, accounting, stock moves. So let's have an example. If I go to my bills using even the electronic invoicing, I get the bills from my vendors. Here, concrete and matte. So just received a few seconds away. Well, Odoo tells me there is a potential purchase matching. So I got some receipt from them. I can have a look and see that a purchase order has been managed recently, and I can link the purchase order
with this bill
to that bill. So let's have a look. I have those. So it's about concrete here. Very polluting. So it's counting definitely matter. I see in terms of cubic meters that those two lines should match together. Yes, indeed. And that's a counting process. It's nothing about carbon here.
It's very usual for the accounting to try to match that, so that you can match also this bill to a specific project, and that you can follow up into your project what is your spend for this project. So you're in either case you're doing this matching for a good accountability.
Yeah, there is absolutely no extra work to do that. And as we can see here, so the products have been matched with POs. We have even analytics defined here where I set my projects. So to tell the system which construction building it is about, and I have my CO2 values. So doing that for all the bills, if I look at my product catalog, let's say, I will now activate the quantitative emission factors. And this is actually the key benefit of using an ERP. It's that we can do this leap from monetary to quantitative very easy.
So that means that for each line you can decide whether you stay in this financial action, or you can say, okay, for this and this product, we want to move to a physical one.
Okay, so I'm still doing it myself. So far, so good. Building blocks, can I link it to concrete? Is it okay?
Yeah, well, that's where a bit of help is useful to try to find the best emission factors that you can that you need for each of the specific products that you have, and that's here where we can come in handy, because once you set that up for your main product, then it will be automatically updated each new bill. But the first setup is important to have it done right. Let's say.
Okay, so this one is based on a ACL, a life cycle assessment. So I'm sure it's okay. For the mortar, well, no. Let's say this one is not defined. So I will.
Yeah.
So basically, okay. Start by default. I've got something like this. I will type the mortar. Yeah.
Don't choose mortar.
Mortar.
So that's the thing, that you have a lot of different emission factor, and you have to pick up the right one. So don't pick mortadel, but pick
this
cement.
Is actually when Yannick help is needed, is to easily choose among the thousands of possible values. Okay, I will activate that. I can even go further by comparing vendors. You might have vendors with different processes. Some are greener than others, and we can integrate that into the computation system. For instance, for concrete, I do have several emission factors based on the kind of concrete. Is it greener or not? All of this being set, I let the system compute, and I reload my carbon footprint. All right, and doing so, I have my an update here when I do better details in terms of quantitative. And as you can see, the CO2 level is decreasing. So we start from something very pessimistic with a huge uncertainty to something very accurate with a lower uncertainty rate.
Mhm.
And as we can see, okay, now the one column is now split into
different
several.
items.
Do you like it?
It's better.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to conclude about that, setting products to do this computation doesn't require any extra work. It's only following the standard accounting processes with the PO matching. Otherwise, we still have the product prediction in case a purchase module is not used in the company.
So in the end, what you see at the top of the ladder is kind of the best is if you get directly CO2 data. So if your supplier with the invoice can say, well, for this line, you know, you have purchased that amount and that corresponds to this CO2 data. And that's also something that we can definitely integrate into our system, which is a bit what we want to have in the end.
Because in the bills, well, the CO2 values are computed, but it can be edited. So in case it's given in the XML file or the PDF file, we can introduce in here.
And with electronic facturation, you could get that data directly from the vendors if he transmit this information.
Okay. And is it the accountant doing that? Or
well, normally it should it should be automated into the process, but then you can have you can decide in your structure if you want the accountant or a sustainability manager or somebody specific for putting the right emission factors linked to each one, or an external consultant if need be.
Okay, we're already at the top of the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a reminder, for each leap that we do, there are dedicated Odoo configurations that are summarized here, where we place the emission factors from accounts, monetary, to products, vendor prices in the product.
So basically what we've seen, and I'll go quickly on this one, is that we start with just a quick identity method with a high uncertainty, and we go into a lot of different details where we actually have differences between what we see on the left, which is just monetary data and generic emission factor, which are put in red because it's bad quality data. Where on the right we see still monetary factors for some data, but also physical factors from other data, and then the emission factors can be either generic or specific, or even specific to one product. And so you can have these differences into your overall account, and by doing it in Odoo, you are sure that you're not making double count, or that you're not missing a line by doing this work. But in the end, you have a better reporting. But what is important is not so much the reporting, but what you can make use of it. And that's how I started. Is, well, in the end, you want that to lead your way into sustainability.
Yeah.
And so that's where we come back to this this dashboard.
Yeah. From the dashboard, you can take decision on specific products. Let's have the concrete that we are dealing with. So here I have a comparison, a CO2 comparison of all my past purchases with my vendors, looking, for instance, at the CO2 quantity per quantity. I can easily take the decision to switch from one vendor to the other, or compare products in between and see where a change is more beneficial.
So yeah, that the goal is to use this dashboard then to engage your team, so that you can say to a project owner, yeah, okay, this is your target, and each time that he, creates his product, he can see if he's going to reach his target throughout the year, and in the end, you have your annual reporting in one click instead of having a lot of hurdles to generate it. And that means that you can steer your focus into discussing with your suppliers, discussing over some product or make changes, or see if your supplier are engaged, and see if you can prioritize steps in your sustainability journey to reduce and to support your action of reduction.
But how can we help? How can we do that?
We are here to help, of course. Well, first of all,
because there are two jobs, the technician and the carbon expert. First, in terms of Odoo technician, we make sure that the ERP process is untouched, that we do not complexify it, otherwise the user adoption will be very low. That's the first thing. Then we define the right configuration. There are many tools, many other systems that can be integrated with Odoo, especially reporting tools like Tapio. What is the strategy? Do we put everything into Odoo, or do we have multiple systems in the stack?
And then where we can help is to really have discussion with you on your business, your strategy, and what are actually the dashboard and the KPI that you want to follow up. Is it the materials? Is it something else? How do you differentiate products and so on? And so we can develop a dashboard that fits your needs and that allows you this proactive steering throughout the year, which means that your reduction, your CO2 reduction journey will be reduced in terms of risk, because you will avoid to act only after a year that you see that actually you are taking the wrong direction. You can do that continuously throughout the year, and in the end this will help your action to go faster and to go better. And we are also here, of course, to improve your carbon strategy as a whole. Once you're finished with this action, what is the next one? Is there something that you should look at in your competition or in the market that is new, that can help you on your way to sustainability? And I'm always very happy to lead to that and then to help you for implementing this sustainability pathway. Thank you very much for listening to us. If there is any question, flash the QR code and
yeah, we are here to answer.
We are to answer.
Okay, so they hear me. The first question is, how much time to integrate the solution?
In terms of ERP technician analysis, it usually takes between 2 to 3 days to have a good overview of what can be done with Odoo and how to use Odoo in the solution.
And in terms of analysis of the business, it's a question of understanding your business and then looking at the right emission factors. We will also dig up into literature and so on to find the right one for your products, and this will also take about 2 to 3 days. But the thing is that in the end, I think you would have to count for 2-3 months of project between the start and the end, so that you can really integrate it, and that the person can the person responsible can use the tool and have been trained on that. So yeah.
Who can modify the emission factors?
Who can modify the emission? Yeah, well, this is something that you technically can decide who you want to be able to, so that you avoid the errors by letting everyone modifying everything in your carbon accounting. So you have to decide whether it will be
with
specific users.
Depends on the solution. With MyCompanyCO2, the biggest community module that we have to address the CO2 computation, it's the accountant that can edit CO2 values on the invoice, but after that the access on emission factors can be only given to the carbon consultant. So it's not an accountant or a purchase manager that can change the CO2 values.
Okay. Is MyCompanyCO2 the same than Odoo ESG?
Okay, so Odoo ESG is the new app as of version 19. MyCompanyCO2 is what I would say the grandbrother, existing in the community for a couple of years, for version 16, 17, 18. Both do the same, so they compute CO2. There is an engine to compute CO2 on top of accounting. MyCompanyCO2 goes a bit further in terms of features, so it addresses the medium and large corporations.
For example, putting your CO2 on your invoices, when you invoice people, you can actually put the result and stuff like that. That's
Yes.
something.
So there are more APIs, more emission factors, more places to set up emission factors. The granularity for the GHG report is higher in MyCompanyCO2, but both are really close to each other.
Is it CSRD aligned?
Well, yeah, just regarding CSRD, well, you can obviously have that. It follows the GHG protocol, and you can have a report that follows the requirement for the CSRD if it's done properly. So that's not a problem. Yeah.
So if you go to the website, so I come back to the previous question. On the website of MyCompanyCO2, there is a comparator between the new Odoo ESG and MyCompanyCO2, and also external apps outside Odoo. That's for the first question. When it comes to CSRD and reporting, so we do using the standard report tools of Odoo, we can create GHG reports, pulling up the data instantly.
Okay, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.